Good evening, wool gatherers, and welcome to episode 164 of Wanderings in Wool Gathering. On tonight's episode, we are hitting the Wayback Machine, and we are going back to January 1994, and we're going to pick out some of our favorite albums that were released that month and some of our favorite songs. We are also going to play the theme song game, where we pick some of our favorite characters from a show, a movie series, whatever it might be, and we give them theme songs that they did not have. We're not talking about scores. Of course, that's part of a big movie theatrical release. We're not doing that. We're just giving them theme songs that we think fit the character. If you like what you see and hear tonight, subscribe and leave a comment. Feel free to share with your friends. Special thanks to our sponsor, the Kokomo Lantern, a journalistic endeavor focused upon the simple principles of illuminating the good and eliminating the shadows in our local community. Head over to kokomolantern.substack.com to sign up for all that tasty content. I'm your host, Foggy, and joining me tonight, as always, is none other than Metalhead Mundy.
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
And look, as if by magic, he appears.
Doff my cap to you.
He's
Good evening.
doffing. I've been doffed. Love it.
How goes it?
It goes. It goes well.
Yeah, we're having all kinds of fun in this awesome weather. Found some roof damage that's going to be just ridiculous to fix, and our car won't start. Woohoo!
Whoop, whoop. Is that just a battery issue?
I don't know, man. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I saw your roof, and it looked like it was waving to people in the wind. It was just...
Oh, that's not even the half of it, man. I got up there and took a video, and it's just a mess. It's a rubber roof, and like at some point some water got in there, which caused just all kinds of chaos, and it's a mess. So that's probably going to be nice and expensive, but hey, we've been here for, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 years now. So, we've gone this long.
I gotcha. Yeah. It's just never fun.
Yeah.
Never. So, well, hopefully, go with the metal roof. Never have to do it again. You can live there forever.
I'm hoping. Yeah. But see, that's like, yeah. So the back half of our house was an addition at some point, and they put like an almost flat, it's just very slightly pitched rubber roof on it. Ugh.
I know. Yeah. Just enough to run the water off, right?
Yep.
Very good. Very
good times. Good times.
Yeah. Tonight we got an easy challenge. You know what I was just thinking, and I think we're going to bring it back. The challenge inspired by Lester Bangs. We haven't had one for a while, and I need to challenge you some more. So I think next week you can count on it, everybody. First thing we're going to do is we're going to challenge Mr. Mundy, hopefully Teabags, we'll see, to Lester Bangs challenge.
Cool.
So yeah, I love looking those up. It's a lot of fun because I usually learn something as I'm putting it together. So
yeah, I think I sent you guys all a link to, there was something I was listening to, and they just like started talking about a ton about Lester Bangs, and I was like, hey, I know that guy.
Yes, it was in the news recently. Something, I can't remember what it was, but hey, I saw this and it kind of cracked me up. It was on what account is it? It's one of those on Instagram that I follow, but it was we had reviewed Sangui Sugabog on the show one time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They're in a conflict with some other guy and band over MGK's new guitar.
Yeah, it's Ronnie Radke, who is a singer for a band that I know who it is, but I can't remember the name of the band. But yeah, he is very vocal. He has I think he was recently feuding with like Alex the Terrible or something from yeah. So it's that guy. He runs his mouth a lot. I don't know a ton about him, but he's very vocal and opinionated.
It's We Are the Pit is the account, and they usually have some interesting stories. They compile stuff and put them on there, and you can check out the stories. But it cracked me up, the drama that was involved with this over MGK's guitar. It looks like a razor blade. Okay.
I saw somebody, Josh Toomey, who does the Talk To Me podcast. He posted something about it, and he was like, if you're gonna like start internet beef with like the funniest band on the internet, which is, he says, is Sanguis Sugabog, he's like, you better bring it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that was funny. I just hadn't heard much of them in quite a while, so that's how I heard about them again. All right. Do you want to do our which one do you want to do first? You want to look back in 1994? Or you want to do the theme songs?
I think we should do the theme song challenge. I like doing the challenges up front. I usually, get into a little bit of fun.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm kind of curious. We did not tell each other which property we were choosing. We just decided we were going to run with something. And so I'm kind of curious. I'm going to make a list. I want to post it when we're done over the theme songs and characters that we chose.
The only hint that I gave you was really no hint at all. I said mine was just going to be fun and silly. And it is 100%.
So it's Scooby-Doo. Okay, let's go.
No, it could be. I could have done Mystery Inc. But yeah.
Gilligan's Island.
No, close.
Close, really? Not really. No. All right. Well, okay. This
TV show.
Got this shirt. The shirt is wandering shirt. Just keeps getting in my way. I can't give this thing away. Maybe someday.
I bought some shirts. I'm going to have you make some more.
Whoop, whoop. All right. Well, I chose. I started getting into this. I'm like, there's the character. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm like up to 12 or something. It was just getting stupid, but there's a million characters. So I'll go through mine fairly quickly.
Okay.
All right. So do we want to go back and forth?
Well, I have 5 and an honorable mention. So
very good. All right. First of all, what's your property? Let's go.
I went with Masters of the Universe.
Yes.
Some good old He-Man.
You know what? I almost started thinking that you were going to do something from the Energon because that was such a big
deal,
Cruising Again.
Yeah. So same time period. I recently just stumbled on some deals on some, like, I don't even know what to call them, some like newer versions of some of the Motu toys, and I grabbed a couple. And I'm in a group on Facebook that they post like so much crap every day, so I see it constantly, just these people's giant collections, and it was just on my mind. And as soon as you issued the challenge, I'm like, I'm gonna do He-Man. So
very good. All right. So who is Prince Adam? What's his song?
I didn't do Prince Adam.
You just did He-Man himself.
I did He-Man, but yeah, I'll start with my honorable mention. I went with Scareglow, who, if you don't know what he looks like, you should definitely look him up. I'll say that for all of these. I'll just throw that out. But for Scareglow, I went with Dead Man's Party from Oingo Boingo.
Yes. Great song.
It is an awesome song.
So did you go for feel, or did you actually look at lyrics and think how the lyrics would fit in as well?
A bit of both. There, some of them, it's just like either the song title or the chorus kind of, gave the feel of what I was going for. But yeah, kind of a bit of both. Mostly, several of them I just went for like the joke of the chorus. So,
gotcha. No, and that works too, because when you do a theme song, you just play that snippet when they're coming into the scene or whatever, and it hits hard that way.
Yep.
Which is perfect. So, okay. Well, mine, I chose, I'll give you a little clue. Oh, it's on this side. Sorry. It looks backwards in there. So I went with Naruto.
I wondered.
Yeah. So I got the Akatsuki hat on. And so I didn't really do a character. I just did the entire Akatsuki, and I just went with Welcome to the Terror Dome from Public Enemy. Because they're the bad guys of Naruto. It's an entire team of people working together, and their symbol is the cloud. So that is what I went with my first one. I was thinking about this because I listen at work. I put a lot of music on in the background and try not to have a lot of lyric music because it's distracting,
Yeah.
And so I find all these lo-fis and things and sad songs. It's interesting because, as well as I do, when you have a score to a movie, it's not supposed to stand out, right? It's supposed to kind of be like you're supposed to look to see what's going on, and that music gives you feeling and energy or whatever that it might be calling for in the scene.
Yeah.
But then when you listen to it without the movie, it's it's done a great job when you loved it when you watched the show, and then when you're listening to it without that and you're going right back to those scenes and it hits you the same way, you got a pretty good score. And that's the way I feel about Naruto as a show in general. So just a little commentary on score before we get back to business. All right, who's your second?
I'm going to go from the bottom up, I think. So my number 5, I went with the awesome villain called Stinkor, who, I don't know. I mean, I remember the action figure. He actually smelled like that was his thing. Like he looks kind of like a skunk man, but he had like a certain smell to him. Stinkor. So of course you have to go with the Leonard Skinner classic, That Smell.
Ooh, that smell. Can't you smell?
Can't you smell that smell? The smell that surrounds you.
Oh, so good. Okay. I'm going with, and I went ahead and got all the pops out because I don't think you know who the characters are. So
I have no idea.
Here's one of the many Narutos that I have.
Yeah.
And so, of course, he's the main character. He has an unbridled passion for achievement. He wants to be the Hokage. He's got the best spirit ever. He inspires everybody. And so I was going to go with an all Rush theme and do all Rush songs. And I thought, nah, I got a couple in. But anyway, Bravado would have been the one for that one. But I went with Don't Stop Believing from Journey.
Nice.
And his tagline a lot of the time is Believe It. When he says something, he finishes with Believe It. And you know it's going to happen. So
Gotcha.
Yep.
That works.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
My number 4 is Man at Arms.
Mm-hmm.
The weaponer of King Randor's kingdom. Have to go with the Edwin Starr smash hit War. Huh.
What is it good for?
Good God, y'all. What is it good for?
Oh, I love it. I can picture it.
Because he is a warrior. He is the man at arms. He's the armorer, the weaponer. But does he want to be fighting all the time? Not really.
He's also a father. What would his song be for the father side of him?
I don't know. I didn't go that far.
Monday. I stumped him. Write it down, everybody. January 14th. Monday is stumped.
If you give me a minute, I could probably come up with something. But
you get the rest of the show, and that's it.
Yeah.
All right. My next one is pile over here. Sakura. And I chose the enemy within from Rush because she has a lot of self-doubt and holds her back most of the show. She's the character on the show that everybody says is worthless because she just dotes over somebody most of the time, but that is not true. And she develops as the show goes on. It's 700 episodes, so I think at some point you get some development.
Hopefully there's some character development.
Ask the character she saves, and then you'll know,
All right.
Good. So there you go.
Sakura, by the way, is a pretty good restaurant here in Kokomo.
Indeed. All right. Who you got next?
My number 3 is the sorceress Evil Lyn.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's really no other choice. Witchy Woman from Eagles.
Ooh, yeah, I like it.
Ooh, witchy woman. She got the look in her eyes.
How long did it take you to come up with these?
Some of them came real quick. Once I sat down to just, I had to kind of figure out which characters I wanted to do. Once I got some of the pairings came like boom, boom, and just super quick. But some of them I had to decide who I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Plus, I was only doing, 6. So.
All right. Who do I want to do next? I have I'll do this one next because I think you'll enjoy it. Orochimaru. He has a place where he does tests where he basically kills people and takes parts and does all this kind of stuff. I chose Welcome to My Nightmare, Alice Cooper.
Nice. There you go.
Kind of looks like it, I think.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
The way you're describing him, you kind of sound like a Nazi doctor person.
It's all about snakes and I don't know. He's a great character in the show. He really is.
Well, the snakes, that goes with Alice as well.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought too. So the whole shtick was perfect.
Nice. I like it.
All right.
So my number 2 is kind of an obscure Motu character. She's from there's a group called the Snake Men. Mm-hmm. And her name is Lady Slither. And for her, I had to go with my favorite Nine Inch Nails song, Reptile. She has the blood of Reptile just underneath her skin.
What's her official name?
Lady Slither.
Lady Slither.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of He-Man, but I don't know her.
That one's kind of obscure. It is.
I'm gonna have to check that out now. Okay, next up is one of my favorite characters. I actually have a tattoo. A couple things here. No, nobody has a happy backstory in Naruto, by the way.
Apparently.
So no, they do not. This is Gaara, and he has a love. Oh, it's over here. Symbol on his forehead. And it was to love oneself because his entire place turned on him because he has a spirit within him that they put in him. And then they all feared him, tried to kill him. And he manipulates sand, which is really cool. And so I chose for him your favorite Fiona Apple and the song Extraordinary Machine. Be kind to me or treat me mean. I'm an extraordinary, or I'll make the most of it. I'm an extraordinary machine. And it actually has in the song, I'm the baby of the family. It happens so everybody cares and wear the sheep's clothes while they chaperone, which is interesting because his own family tries to kill him. Oh, so he's a terrible, evil character. And then Naruto, with his enthusiasm and positive outlook, turns him. So,
of course, why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he? He'd get hits with the talk no jutsu. There you go. All right.
So, my number 1, I had to go, with the OG He-Man. Mm-hmm. And this one, there are several different ways I could have gone, but at the end, I think this is the only real choice as the early 90s. I think it's early 90s. Yeah, pretty sure. It's early 90s classic from the band Snap. The Power. I've got the power.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's so good.
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know who you're missing on this list?
Who's that?
Guess.
Well, I mean, there's several. I could like Skeletor. I probably
you had to have Skeletor.
Yeah. But
you better find one. You got to find one. Yeah. Post about it later. I'm going to write it down, and then you're going to have to find one. That's the way it has to work. Okay, I'll just run through a couple really quickly because I started rolling and I just started getting more and more and more. All right, Shikamaru. He is the smartest. He's the planner, the guy who schemes and figures everything out. The song is Smarter Than You by the Undertones. It's a punk song from the early 80s, which is great. I don't have Datara yet. I'm going to. They're coming out with the Akatsuki ones now. And the song is Fired Up from Black Label Society because he likes to blow up everything. He thinks blowing up things is art. It is a great song and it fits him perfectly. So I was really excited about that. Do I have any? Oh, yeah. Jiraiya, the pervy sage. He's on the toad right there. But I chose Marathon from Rush. It's the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. He seems like he is around ever. He's with all these other people that create villains later, but then he's there for Naruto in the end. It's like quite the journey. So I thought Marathon fit him perfectly.
Well, we're talking about pops. You can see kind of right there. That's my little He-Man on Battle Cat pop. and Battle Cat is flocked, so he's fuzzy.
What would Battle Cat's theme song be?
I don't know.
Mundy, what are we doing?
But, yeah, there's my guy.
So good. I have a which one do I have? I have a big I have a Skeletor Masters of the Universe back there.
Nice.
Still waiting on that song, but
got a show to do. I'll figure it out later.
Yeah, I had another one. It was Echo and the Bunnyman, the puppet for Sorcery, but his has not come out yet either. So
okay.
All right. I think that's it for what I have. And I kept going over Sasuke trying to get him, but he's my least favorite character in the show. He's a whiny bee. I don't like him. The best I came up with was the anarchist from Rush, but I don't even want to talk about him. He really just. I love that show. It's one of my favorites, but he grinds my gears big time.
Okay.
I know. It's a thing. All right. Well, that concludes this challenge. Do you have a challenge for next week?
Not prepared. No.
Gosh. All right.
I always forget about like issuing a challenge on the show.
Mm-hmm. We do have an album next week, I believe, an EP.
Yes. Very excited about that.
And what would that be?
It's the band Plush. It's 4 very talented young ladies. They have a new EP coming out. The first single off of it is the cover of Heart's Barracuda, which is kind of how the band started, because they did. Well, we can get into that when we talk about it.
But yeah, that's what we're gonna. I think there's 6 songs,
something like that, 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that EP next week. We'll definitely be doing Lester Bangs and then whatever Monday comes up with. So exciting. All right. We're hitting the Wayback Machine. I've noticed everywhere we go,
Wait. Oh. Before we do that, do you want to talk about Flava Flav and get that out of the way?
Ooh, Flava Flav, yes.
Flava Flav.
The Everywhere Man. The Every Language Man.
Holy cow, yeah.
Did you listen to some of them?
I flipped through a few of them. It's very interesting.
So Flava Flav came up with a new song called The Everywhere Man, and he has literally appeared everywhere lately. He is all over the place. He's posting nonstop from wherever he goes, and he has a new song. He's been 2 years sober, 2 years no cigarettes, so he's like new release on life kind of thing. And so he puts this song out, which is there's nothing like groundbreaking in it. There's nothing deep. It's just a great fun song.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not it's exactly kind of what I wrote down. Like, it's not a great song, but it's fun. It's fine. And I really enjoyed kind of Chuck D being the hype man, taking the hype man role. And so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was fun. But then I was looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all these remixes. And then I'm like, oh, those aren't remixes. Those are in 22 different languages.
Yeah.
And so my question was going to be, and I didn't look it up, did he sing them? Like, somebody write those down and he sang them on those? Or did they use AI, take his voice and have them processed into those different languages?
That's a good question. I don't know. Because it's everything too. It's even Chuck's part at the beginning, kind of hyping it up, and then they kick into the song. So that's a good question. I don't know.
Maybe need to look that up. But you guys definitely should check it out. It is a fun song. I don't know if there's anything following it as far as any kind of album work goes.
Yeah.
Because he's just been talking about this for a while, but the only thing that came out was Everywhere Man, which is the name of the song.
And it's also, we should also say that it borrows heavily from the Johnny Cash classic, I've Been Everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's but it's fun. If you're if you're a Public Enemy fan, if you like Flav, then definitely check it out. Flava Flav.
Because you don't know who he is. And he had a show called Flavor of Love, and a girl poops on the stairs, which is
that show was a hot mess.
It was awful.
Speaking of hot mess.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, cool song. Speaking of cool songs, 1994 was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I was looking at these, and there were some that I was thinking, okay, Monday's probably going to bring those up. And I didn't. I only brought up the ones that I definitely dug into quite a bit during that time.
Yeah, me too.
We'll see if we cross over. If not, then we're going to share a bunch of different songs because
that was
awesome.
Yeah, there was one that I wrote down, but then I looked. I'm like, what album is that from? Because the single came out in January of '94, but the album was from '93, so I kind of got rid of it. But it was a Depeche Mode song.
Oh, I put it in there. In Your Room.
Yeah.
Because it was released in January of '94. The song was.
The single was.
Yes. And so I counted any single that was released in January.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. It's just from like, what is it? Songs of, is it Love and Devotion? So, and that came out in '93. So I just kind of, whatever.
I may have a couple other songs like that. Okay. But as long as the single came out in '94, January, I counted it.
Cool.
So, all right. Well, I only came up with, and the reason we did this is because you see a lot people doing the 30 years ago this came out, 40 years ago this came out.
Right.
So we started thinking about kicking off the new year. What happened 30 years ago? This is what we found.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 1994, in January of 1994, I was like 16 years old. So this is, my sweet spot for music that I've been listening to for most of my life now. So, it's all of them like, oh yeah, okay. So, then after I was done, I was like, damn, I'm getting old.
I was out of college.
Yeah.
And when this is my first year out, so which it's all good. And one of the albums that came out that month is one of my favorites. Well, I should say, I have a lot of favorites, but sure. I love the record, and it might be my favorite record by this band, which we both like, and it's Alice in Chains. Jar of Flies came out in January, and it was a little different. It wasn't necessarily to be expected, but man, was it a gem from Alice.
That was the first one on my list. January 25th, 1994. And yeah, it's more, what is it like? I have all these like ready to go, but it's a little more like acoustic, for them. So I don't know if that's why they did it as an EP or if they just kind of had all these ideas and I don't know. They just, but it's only 7 songs on the album. And of course, Nutshell is, when they did Unplugged, that was the song they started with. And good God, it's just amazing. And, but yeah, so much good stuff on here. It's like I Stay Away and No Excuses were probably the biggest hits off of here. And like I said, Nutshell, with the MTV Unplugged, just so good.
It did not feel like an EP because it was so solid from beginning to end.
Yes. Yeah. And I Stay Away had that really cool like claymation video that's just super fun and weird and awesome.
Yeah, I loved Unplugged back in the day. It was so good. I hear they still do it sometimes, but I never see it. I don't hear much about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it still exists or not, unless somebody let us know. It was just cool because you had your favorite bands, they were unplugged, and they were just sitting there playing. And then they even had stuff like LL Cool J unplugged, which was so cool because that's not typically something you think of being unplugged. So
I think Jay-Z did one too. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. So that was my first. It was you had that one as well. So that's cool. What was another one you had? Another album?
Another huge one for me was Tori Amos's second album, Under the Pink.
I had that.
Dropped right at the end of the month on the 31st of January. And when Little Earthquakes came out, it just absolutely blew me away. And I was at this time, like I'm like full on, baby metalhead and just all about the hard and the heavy. And then she just rocked my world. and man. So, and this also, after Under the Pink came out, I ended up, I think both of the shows were in 1994. I saw her twice that year. So I saw her at IU Bloomington, and I saw her at the Mirat in the theater, and holy crap, so good. And this is, I have to say, like, her current stuff I'm not too up on, but at this time, like, I was all about Tori. I had t-shirts. I got like a program from one of the concerts that had a forward from Neil Gaiman. I had was another thing that was cool, like that connection. So, you know, I even had a necklace from that I got from her show, and I was just all about Tori Amos.
Yeah. And I don't know if you put Cornflake Girl on as one of your songs, but it was released in January of that year, and that's one of the ones I put on here. And the thing that I always think about that is that piano. Man, she's just so good on the piano, and it was such a cool song, and it was clever, and you know, calling out fake girls and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was amazing. Her voice is beautiful. Her writing is great. Piano is amazing. So that was just killer all the way around.
This is actually, there's some great videos from this out, like Pretty Good Year, the song God, which I love, Past the Mission, which also has backing vocals from Trent Reznor, Cornflake Girl. I guess I didn't realize when I was looking into this, there's a US video and a UK video, and they're just completely different.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They're not just slightly, they're completely different videos for no real reason, it seems like. So, but yeah.
All you need to know about Tori Amos is Trent Reznor and Neil Gaiman.
Right.
If you're keeping company like that, you're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you're legit. So, I only had one other album that I had mentioned here. And I didn't love the album, but I liked one of the songs on it. It was Meat Puppets, Too High to Die.
Okay.
What did you have any more?
Yeah, I got a couple. I never was a huge Meat Puppets fan. It's just one of those bands that passed me by, you know. But Prong Cleansing.
I know. I didn't put it. I knew you were going to, but I didn't listen to them in 94.
Oh man. Came out New Year's Day, 1994. And, you know, anyone that listens to this show knows I love Prong. Tommy Victor's the man. And this was like their, well, no, it's not their third album. I think it might be their fourth album. But this is the first album where they kind of had a little bit of the industrial sound come in. They had Paul Raven come in on bass from Killing Joke. He's on this one and the next one, Rude Awakening, I believe. But this is also the time where they had a fourth member come in who was a keyboardist whose name I don't remember. But they had somebody on keyboards dropping in like little sound effects and, you know, weird grooves and stuff. So, but yeah, absolute amazing album. And this is the one, I mean, you've got Whose Fist Is This Anyway, probably their biggest song, Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck. Some of my favorites are Cut Rate, Broken Peace. Yeah, just so good. Love it.
I was looking here to see if they had listed who the keyboardist was. We'll have to look.
Yeah, still had their drummer Ted Parsons. He was still with them, but then like it
says keyboards programmed by John Bechdel, however you say it.
Yes, probably Bechdel. Yeah, but yes, okay. He was with them on this one. I don't know if he carried over to the next album, but yeah, this was kind of their more industrial sounding stuff. But yeah, awesome, awesome album.
Yeah, I almost put that, but I didn't listen to it in 94. I didn't come to appreciate them until knowing you. So
it was all about them.
Who else you got there in 94?
My last album would be Dogman from King's X. It's my absolute favorite King's X album. Any huge King's X fans, I don't know if they would say that, but this is the one that I always go back to. It's a little heavier, which, duh for me. But man, just the songwriting, always solid with King's X, and some of the guitar tones on this album are ridiculously heavy. Just the song Dog Man is insane. But yeah, there's really great song called Pretend. Black the Sky is awesome. Sunshine Rain. Human Behavior is classic. And I love they end the album with the cover of Hendrix's Manic Depression, which if you can hear Doug Pinnick's voice in your head and just picture him singing Jimi Hendrix, chef's kiss. So good.
Yeah,
so
this
good.
was another one that I noticed, but I didn't come to them until later, so I did not put that. Yeah. Pinnick's great. And the fact that those guys haven't made any money or are still in debt just baffles me and is so infuriating.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Yeah.
I just do not get it.
Yep.
Okay, so moving to songs from 1994, I did have Cornflake Girl. We've already talked about that, so I'm going to set that one aside. Did you have that as one of yours or no?
I just included it with the album.
Okay, very good. Okay, I'll go with. And actually, I had already mentioned with the Meat Puppets the song "Backwater," and honestly, that may be their only big hit. I don't know.
Okay.
For me, that's one of those groups. There were other few early grunge bands that kind of just like for me just kind of went like this, and they're another one I never really was about them or anything. They're just okay, and that was the one song that really stood out, and so I put that one down.
Gotcha.
Okay, so my number one, not number one, but my first one is "Cream" by Wu-Tang.
Oh yes,
and what a groove! And it's so good. Wu-Tang was awesome back in the day, and this one did come out in January 1994.
Yep.
Great stuff.
Even so, I was working at the Sam Goody record store in the mall with JPP in I think it was maybe the winter of 98 or no, was it 98? I think it might have been winter in 97 or I don't know, sometime around then. But even then, we were still selling a ton of Wu-Tang, So, but yeah, Cream, Cash Rules Everything Around Me, such a classic song, so good. And man, when Enter the 36 Chambers dropped, it just kind of changed the game.
Yeah, and their logo is primo.
Oh yeah,
there's some quality work on that one.
Yep.
So my next one, what is your next one? Sorry, let me jump you there.
Well, staying with hip hop, I mean, you got to go with Gin and Juice from Snoop.
Got it. That's on mine as well.
Yeah.
It was funny because there's one more rap song that I have on here, and it's to think, oh my gosh, 3 of those came out in the same month is insane.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the funny things, that's funny. Simon and Garfunkel, did they drop anything in January of 94? I think they were too busy hating each other at that point.
I'm going to answer for both of us. They did not. Yeah, they had a period of years and years and years where they didn't like each other. So
yeah. But so with Snoop, the Gin and Juice, one of my memories with that song I will never forget. So like I said, at this time I was 16 years old, so I was still in high school. We had a convocation that was some kind of, I don't know, like a motivational speaker, I guess. I don't know. But he did this thing. I think he was basically talking about trying to keep kids off, drugs and alcohol and stuff. And he crap like that. But so he started talking about songs, popular songs at the time. And he's like, hey, let me try something. And he started singing the chorus from Gin and Juice, and he stopped, and like the whole crowd like finished it. and it was kind of cool and funny. But then he proceeded to tell us how horrible that song was and how we were all horrible for liking it. And I'm like, okay, buddy.
I know I bought the CD, so
I'm not sure this is how you win kids over, telling them that their music is terrible, but sure.
Yeah, that's brutal. And it was so good. Snoop was so refreshing.
Oh yeah.
And that was a great CD. It was so listenable. I mean, there wasn't anything like, I mean, most of the time back then I'm listening to like Public Enemy and stuff, and it's got all these huge messages. Snoop was the exact opposite, and that's okay. And so was my next song, which was the Beastie Boys Sabotage came out then as well.
That's on my list too.
I figured it was, because you can't ever go wrong with the Beastie Boys.
Oh man. Ever. So that was, is that Check Your Head, right? Is that right? Or yeah. So yeah, man, that album is just insane. There's so many great songs, but yes, the single for Sabotage dropped kind of towards the end of the month, end of January. And God, I mean, the video is classic, just with the, they make it look like the 70s cop show intro.
Get the mustaches and everything.
Oh, man. And the wigs, and it's so great. But what an awesome song. Plus, it's a little bit of a departure for them. It's, gets them back on their instruments. It's not just straight up hip hop. So kind of cool.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Oh gosh. John Denver. Yeah. That's my favorite mug. Everybody should know it. Sunshine on my shoulders. There you go. Right. And John Denver, just so you know, does not appear on this list because he was not alive.
Yeah. 1994. He was gone already, right?
Yes. All right. What was your next one?
That's it. That's pretty much all I got. I had the Depeche Mode one that I took off my list. So that was, I didn't have too many. I went through the list, and like I saw like kind of the Meat Puppets thing, like I saw a couple that I'm like, I mean, sure, but I wasn't like super into that. So I just kind of went with stuff that was really impactful for me.
Yeah. And so, Denver died in 1997.
Okay.
Oh, here's the question. Did he have a song out in 1994? Please, listener, let us know. And Sabotage was actually from Ill Communication. So
that's yes.
Yeah. Okay, I did have a couple more songs. So When I Come Around, Green Day, came out in January. I don't love Green Day, but there are a few songs that I definitely can dig into.
I don't remember seeing that one on the list I was looking at, but yeah, it's a great song. I enjoy that song a lot. I actually, they're going on this massive tour with Smashing Pumpkins and all that stuff. And we looked into tickets to, I think Wrigley is the closest. Yep. We were like, no way.
Yeah. I was going to go until I learned that the Pumpkins were a special guest and weren't going to play very much. So it was really it's going to be a Green Day show, and then they'll kind of be there to play a few. So at that point I was like, nah, if they were going to play their full set, I would have gone. But
yeah, Green Day is one of those bands that the boys liked when they were younger. So we never got to take them to see them. So that's when they announced this tour. I'm like, ooh, that'd be cool. But yeah, there's no freaking way. It's stupid expensive. And we've been to Wrigley for a show one time, and it was not a great experience. So
where did they? Okay, so I've heard different things. So when I went there, they had the stage in the outfield, and it was wonderful. Where did they have the stage for you? I've heard they've also had it at home plate.
So we saw Fall Out Boy. It was Fall Out Boy, Rise Against, MGK. Ugh. And on this tour, Fall Out Boy was doing, like, they were having different openers that were kind of, regional to wherever they were. So at the Chicago show, Fall Out Boy is from Chicago, so it's kind of a hometown show for them. And Rise Against was with them because they're from Chicago. So I was excited to see Rise Against, and the stage was at home plate because we were sitting, so we would have been sitting kind of catty corner from first base, and they had speakers like out in the outfield kind of closer to us, and they weren't really working that well. So the sound was not great, and it was so cold. And where we were sitting on like the lower level of bleachers, and the balcony was above us.
Right.
And I mean, it was just a wind tunnel the entire time, just the cold wind blowing in our face the whole show. It was awful. But you know, they tried. Fall Out Boy actually put on a good show, but it just, it wasn't a great experience.
Yeah, when we saw them, we saw Pearl Jam there, and they were in the outfield. And so we were down the first base line, great seats. It was wonderful. I mean, the sound was fantastic. Maybe it was because it was blowing right back into the bleachers where the whole, structure is, and maybe it just caught all the volume and everything. But it was awesome. I loved it. It was a great experience. I would definitely go back. I'm not going to go back and pay a lot of money for.
Right.
I don't want to pay that much for Green Day.
Right.
So, and not to say anything bad about Green Day, because I like them, but just not that much.
Yeah, sure.
I had one other song, and I know you probably do not like this band, but it was a band that I saw in Bloomington when I was at IU at the Memorial Union. So it was basically just a little room, probably a quarter the size of the Egyptian room. And so they're just standing on the floor playing, and we're all huddled around. It was amazing. It's live.
Okay.
Ed Kowalczyk, great singer. The song is The Dam at Otter Creek off of Throwing Copper. And it's a cool song. I mean, it's a personal song because it's about a tragedy that happened near their hometown. But there's kind of a cool story where he walks into the studio and the guitarist is playing, and he really digs this vibe he's got going with this, whatever his riff is, and he starts singing over it. And then the other ones kind of join in. So this song happened completely organically. And I don't know if you know this song, but it really builds and just kind of explodes. It is a really cool song. And those two first albums are awesome. After that, they kind of fell off for me, but I would definitely tell anybody to listen to Mental Jewelry and Throwing Copper. Those are great ones.
I remember when they came out, like, I'm not too familiar with them other than like the hits, radio songs. I remember when they came out, JPP was pretty into them. Like, for some reason, I don't know why, but you'd have to ask him. But yeah, I remember him being kind of into them, and I was like, I liked the radio stuff, but it's not a band I felt the need to go super deep on.
Yeah, I get it. I just feel like they're really smart. The lyrics were great. Energy was awesome.
Yeah.
So good stuff. But that song is one that I would definitely, if anybody's interested in listening to them, check that out, because it is it's a wonderful song. And I think that's all. And then I guess one other one was What's the Frequency? Kenneth from REM came out that month. Pretty decent song. I don't go back to it ever, but it was okay.
Yeah. REM is not, that's another one. Like, it's mostly the radio stuff for me, other than, which I can't even remember the name of it. The only REM album that I've ever actually owned was the album that had Losing My Religion on it. And I listened to that quite a bit when it first came out. But yeah, I
like the stuff right before that with Superman and all those. That was good. I mean, I don't dislike any of their stuff. I think they are very listenable. I just don't go back to them a lot. But if they come on the radio, I wouldn't turn it off, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
All right. Well, my friend, anything else from 1994?
No, not really. Like, that was pretty cool. January of 94 had some good stuff. A lot of stuff that I still listen to regularly.
Exactly. We're gonna have to do this like randomly, just every once in a while, pop in a month and see what came out during that time.
Yep.
It was a good month. There was, if you think about singles being released, that was a pretty good month for singles.
Yeah.
So, all right. There was a good sweet spot in there too, between about 1988 and 1996-7. There was a lot of good stuff that came out, and a lot of different genres too were really hitting hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of that time. So let's see, 88 to 96 was probably, I mean, you're really getting into kind of the heart of me, the earlier end of that spectrum, me definitely finding my own music and, starting to get into the heavier stuff with like Ozzy and Guns N' Roses and just kind of going on from there, Metallica and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. I always kind of think back, is it because we were in the right spot that it seemed like more stuff was coming out and it was more interesting? Because think about the people that came out during that time. If they didn't die, they are still popular and doing it today.
Mm-hmm.
And are almost as loved as they were back then, or selling out as much as they were back then. It seems like now there just aren't as many people, unless it's just straight up pop, which pop has always sold pop. But as far as outside of the pop genre, am I just seeing that through rose-colored glasses, or is there something to that?
I think every generation, or you could even say every person, of course, they kind of the music that they loved when they were young, nothing will ever be as good as that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know what I mean? So to your ear, like nothing will ever be as good as the music you loved when you were young. That's just, for some reason, that's, I think our young minds are more impressionable and stuff gets in there. And if you are a music fan, it sticks with you or whatever. Even if you're kind of a casual music fan, the stuff you heard on the radio, like the big hits, you hear that come on now, like 30 years later, and you're like, oh, I love this song, So there's that. But part of what you mentioned too, I have thought about before, is like, I think about the music that my dad loved. And, when he was a kid, when he was like 13 years old or so, that's when the Beatles were first hitting. And he's lifelong Beatles fan, and just all of that stuff. And it's the same goes for him. Like the music that he loved when he was young, he always loved. So I think
but you think about that, it's like Beatles and then the Stones and Zeppelin and it's just like the Who, just one band after another who has stood the test of time came out. Yeah. I don't know that we have that now. I'm not saying, but for me, because I do like, and I know you hate Nothing But Thieves, but I love them. They're one of my favorite bands. That's new. NF. That's new. I love it. You know what I mean? So I am very open to new music. It's just, I just don't know if you look across the board, if you're going to see these groups be what the Zeppelins and Stones and Who and all those bands were in the back then. Yeah. Maybe it can't happen anymore.
I mean, part of that also is how we are exposed to things, because that, the old grandpa, we had 3 channels and it was radio and blah, 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 and, whatever. But it's true. It's really true. If something happened on TV, millions of people saw it because you only had 3 channels to look at. It's not, it was, it's much more specialized now. Like you almost have to find stuff, there are shows that win awards. There's people that become quote unquote celebrities. I'm like, I don't know who that is. I've never seen that show. I've never heard of that. And because it's on a streaming service that I don't have.
Right.
So it's a lot more specialized now, I feel like. So there is stuff that breaks through and becomes just mega popular, and you can't get away from it. But I think that stuff is few and far between, much more so than it used to be.
And will it be influential 20 years from now?
Right.
Will people still, like now people could still be back and be like, yeah, I was inspired by Jimmy Page. Are there anybody that comes out now that 20 years from now people will be like, yeah, I was looking back,
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thought. I just, especially because we like rock and things like that, it is not as popular as it used to be. I don't think. Didn't feel like it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think as far as live music goes, it might be, but as far as whatever you want to substitute for record sales, I mean, that is definitely the pop and hip hop game. So, and country, apparently.
Pop country.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. We're going to do a show on this. We're going to actually do real research. We're going to do a show on this. It really does just kind of baffle me sometimes, because I was thinking the other day, the Grammys are coming out, and I'm thinking, oh, a show that I can watch and not know anybody.
Sure.
I mean, we spend every week talking about music, and we won't know hardly anybody on that show.
Yeah.
Or care to, I don't know. Old men, I guess.
I mean, we're talking about music from 30 years ago, so.
But we talk about new stuff all the time, and we just mentioned saying we Sugabog on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, do you have anything else for us tonight?
I don't. I really just, I just keep thinking about how much money or home repairs are going to cost.
Hey, I'm going to tell you this, though. I think next week we're going to do Plush, but I think we ought to do a double header and talk a little bit about Holy Wars and their recent videos, because Kat is killing it. She's a friend of the show. And man, people need to be paying attention to that. So let's add that to next week's show.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem with that. Their music they're putting out now is so good. So good.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week, we're going to have Lester Bangs. We're going to have Plush. We're going to have Holy Wars. And whatever Mr. Mundy comes up with for a challenge. Hopefully we'll have Teabags back on the show. And also we will find out what Skeletor's theme song will be. And I'm holding him to it. Sound good?
Sure.
All right. Where can we find you if we want to find you on social media?
Best place is just Instagram. It's my handle on the show here, Metalhead Mundy, at Metalhead Mundy.
Awesome. All right. You can find me, Foggy's Pal. I'm over there at Twitter, on Instagram. And I'm also writing over at wanderingsandwoolgathering.com. You can find all kinds of cool stuff there, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan right now, because it seems like there are a million Spider-Man books, and I've been sucked in so I can write these reviews with Glenn from Ireland. Good friend.
I feel like there's always a million Spider-Man books out.
Hey, I will say, though, the new Ultimate Spider-Man book, whew, wow, what a book.
Is it good?
Oh, my gosh. It was
awesome.
So good. And that art is brilliant. Marco Cicchetto is... Cicchetto, however you say his name, I'm not even sure, but he is fantastic. He used to do a lot of Daredevil, and he's teamed up again with Matt Hollingsworth on colors.
Oh, he's awesome.
Oh my God, his art is just primo. You should get this book just for that. I'm just gonna say, like, it's, I used to read the Ultimate Universe. I read all the Ultimate Spider-Mans. Well, they destroyed it when they did Ultimatum. That was the worst. It was awful. So I stopped paying attention. Well, they just had a mini series. And so when I went into the first Ultimate Spider-Man, I thought, man, am I going to be lost? It does not jump into the story much. It builds all the characters for most of the issue. It's really heavy on dialogue. It is so good. I would recommend that book to anyone.
Aren't you glad that you have a friend who was at the comic shop and was like, hey, do you want this in your folder?
As a matter of fact, my friend, I was. And it is so good. And there's a review of it at wanderingsandwoolgathering.com. So check that out. We both ended up loving it. We gave it 5 web shooters.
Nice.
And I even put little web shooters on there as a graphic. So it's very exciting.
Nerd
alert. All right. You can find Wanderings and Wool Gathering on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, CastBox, and SoundCloud. Wait a minute. CastBox is gone, right?
No. Stitcher is gone.
All right, so you can still find us at Apple Music, Spotify, CastBox, and SoundCloud. And you can find album, movie, TV, and comics reviews at wanderingswoolgathering.com. See you next week for episode 165 for Plush, Holy Wars, Lester Bangs, and a challenge. We will see you then.